Okay, so this is not my, first thoughts coming out of the theater. I saw it last night. It's now the next day, Friday. Technically, it comes out today, but I did see Thunderbolts. Might go into a little bit of spoilers in this review, so if you don't want any spoilers, if you haven't seen it yet, I don't know if I am. I'm just gonna kind of give my thoughts about it. But if you don't want any spoilers, potential spoilers, I would click off before seeing this. Come back after you see it. Let me know if you agree with everything. But Thunderbolts was great. It was definitely a breath of fresh air. I had a lot of fun watching it. I like all the characters in it. I feel like every character had some moments to shine. All but one character. All but one character. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Bob was great. Yelena was great. Red Guardian was great. Bucky was great. Ghost was great. They were all great. John Walker was great. I feel like they did a lot for these characters, these anti-heroes, most of them, besides for Bucky and Yelena, people don't really care about. And I think, they did a justice to these characters because I'm actually interested to see what's next for their story. For example, it goes really deep into kind of the emotional aspect of it, depression, anxiety, being lonely, all different things that people experience every day. And I think it's a really good movie that goes home on it. I really appreciate what they did in that movie. I enjoy what they did in that movie. Certain things were a little weird, but I like when you touch the void. The whole thing is you kind of go through your deepest and darkest fears or memories or anything, for example, and we're going to get into some spoilers now. John Walker, us finding out that John Walker, he can't get over that he was once Captain America. He is, as we see, he's not even watching over his child, the baby, rather looking at old articles of himself, the fall of John Walker. It really goes into the depression of these characters. Elena is one that stands out the most. She has probably one of the biggest things in this movie about being depressed and everything. She even goes on this whole banter to her dad, Red Guardian, about how she's so lonely. She drinks, she's so lonely. It deals a lot with a lot of adult aspects of it. Not to say this is strictly for adults, this movie, but it goes into a lot of aspects like that I really enjoyed and appreciated, this movie kind of having its own thing. I like how the movie started. The complaints were the movie, it was a little bit slow, the first act and everything going into the third act. The third act became this wild, big thing, but you have to get to the third act. I think the whole movie pretty much was coherent and good. Again, I really liked all the characters. Obviously, the standouts, Yelena and Bob, but I'm gonna give everybody had their own kind of standout. And I don't really believe there was too many standouts. Everyone had their own moments to shine. And I like that, besides, again, one character. Red Guardian is the comic relief, which it's very needed, I think. He wants the team to be it. We figure out that Thunderbolts they're named the Thunderbolts because it's after Yelena's soccer team that was terrible. I like that little thing. Obviously, going later on, we find out the asterisk for the Thunderbolts, and I'm going to get into it. My one complaint, I have to say, is I wanted more Bucky. That's just me. I'm a big fan of Bucky. I'm satisfied with what we got. I think he was badass in it, especially the scene where he takes out all three of the armored vehicles, coming in on the motorcycle with the shotgun, Terminator-style glasses, everything. I love that scene. Shows just how powerful Bucky is. It kind of goes back to, Bucky was definitely nerfed from after Civil War in some ways. It's cool to see him like that. Of course, he's no match for Sentry. I like the fight between them and Sentry, how Sentry is just this all-powerful thing, and it's really interesting to see. It's like, again, what the hell do you do when you have a character like Sentry and all these ground-level heroes are trying to fight him? There's nothing really you can do, and it's good that they didn't defeat him in the way that, it's a whole-out brawl. Let's do this. Let's throw stuff at this. You get from the other side all this. It was cool that they actually went in a different way and kind of went through the, intellectual level of, going, again, into the void. And the void is a really interesting concept that, at first I thought once you get into the void, you're done. There's that one scene in particular, and again, we're going to keep going into spoilers. There's that one scene where Red Guardian saves the little girl just for the girl to vanish and go to the void. I jumped out of my seat. I was like, holy shit. But then you actually see that the void is kind of like this, other dimension type of place where it's just your darkest fears. I really like the void. I like that, there's so much trauma with him, especially with his dad. It seems we get the whole thing. He's this awkward guy. He's kind of, in a way, you could kind of see he's what is it, not bipolar, but his multiple personality syndrome, it seems. But it's interesting. Again, every character in it, I think every character really complements each other. The whole, can we trust each other, all this shit, and then making these characters so important that they are in this movie when, I couldn't stand John Walker in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I couldn't care less about Ghost in Ant-Man. Red Guardian was all right. Making these characters what they are is really good, and I appreciate what they did with that. The practical effects in this, that it's really cool what they did. The things falling, certain things obviously on practical effects, but then of course the bus, the truck going at Bucky and Bucky using his arm to go over practical effects. Her, we saw the thing, her jumping off the building was real. The practical effects you could really appreciate, and they did a really good job with this, and I loved what they did. We get some answers about Avengers Tower. Obviously Val bought it, and she was making this whole new thing. We get answers about Val. We get answers about everything, the Sentry program. We get a lot of answers. Sentry's turn is a little interesting in it, but it was, he started getting taken over by the Void, which is his alternate ego. At first I thought his kind of turn was a little too quick, where it was like he was friends with them 10, 20, 30 minutes go by, and then he's on Val's side, but then it goes right back to, I don't really need to listen to Val. These are my friends, they're no threat to me, obviously, because I'm more powerful than the Avengers, and the Avengers contain a hero, a god like Thor. I like that little thing there. Again, it goes a lot into depression. It goes into loneliness. It goes into mental health. It goes into friendship. It goes into being losers. One of my favorite scenes is Yelena telling everybody they're a bunch of losers, right before she walks away. And, you get all these different things that, they're all losers. You can really appreciate this movie. Since I'm an asshole, I have to complain a little bit. And this is one of my only complaints. Not getting a lot of Bucky. Not as much Bucky as I want. The only other complaint I had, and it's not really even a complaint, I don't think it lived up to what people were saying on the internet. Now, wait, don't leave yet. The internet made it this big thing that it's the best movie since Endgame. It's one of the best movies. It was a great movie. I don't know if it's best since Endgame. That's not to say I didn't like it. I really liked it. But I don't think it was the best since Endgame. And not saying, just because it didn't live up to the whole Rotten Tomato score and everything, to me, I still think it's a really great movie. And I'm not saying it's bad in any way. I enjoyed it. I would go see it again. I would see it 3 more times. I would keep seeing it. I liked it. I don't think it really lived up to the best. It's like right there. It's close. It's one of the best. It's one of the better ones, at least since Endgame. Me personally, I can't put it over a few movies since Endgame. No Way Home, Deadpool and Wolverine, Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, it's not a complaint. I think it's really good. I can't stress that enough. I liked everything about it. I really did. I think it's really good. If you're on the fence about seeing it, you don't really care about some of these heroes, you want something to do, I would go see the movie. I think it's fun. It's fun. It's got action. It's got emotion. It's got depth. It's got everything a Marvel movie is really good at doing. Of course, by the end of the movie, they do become the new Avengers, which is really interesting. How that's going to go, I'm not sure. Obviously, they're setting this up for Doomsday because, in the after credit scene, we see that there's a little bit of turmoil between Sam Wilson's Avengers and the new Avengers, even going to as far as Sam Wilson trademarking the Avengers and Red Guardian proposing that they be called themselves the new Avengers with a Z. That is why they're the asterisk. It's not the Thunderbolts, it's the new Avengers. I like that they did that. But of course, we're going to get that team in that. And of course, the after credit scene also dealt with the Fantastic Four arriving on Earth, which is, I guess, kind of spoiling something from the Fantastic Four. I don't know. We don't know what happens with Fantastic Four. It was a really cool after credit scene. Felt like old Marvel, the movie. It felt really good to be in the movie theater, be excited for this movie, talk about this movie, geek out about this movie. The movie was great. That's kind of my review. I'm probably leaving a lot of stuff out. No real complaints for it. Go see it. I liked it. The characters complement each other well. Sentry looks badass. All the characters look badass. The Thunderbolts look badass. Val still looks badass. Everything looks badass. Let me know if you're going to see Thunderbolts.